Movies that are bad and movies that are good are worth it. Because on one hand, if a movie is good, if it's great, it's something that can stay on your mind for a long time. You can talk with your friends. You can deep dive into the source material if there's any. But if a movie is really bad, you can laugh at it and you can make fun of it with your friends. The memes are always great, and the breakdown videos of how terrible all the choices are always very interesting. But when a movie is painfully just okay, like Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, it hurts a lot because you can see the potential in the film, but it's not executed well. Let's attack it. As the Ghostbusters return to New York, the Spengler family returns to the iconic New York City firehouse where the original Ghostbusters have taken ghostbusting to the next level. When the ancient artifact is discovered, unleashing an evil force, Ghostbusters, new and old, must unite to protect their home and save the world from a second ice age. Ghostbusters Afterlife was a jumping off point, like a soft jumping off point to continue the decade-old franchise. Quite like Star Wars Force Awakens, it repeated some of the first OG films' beats while introducing likable new characters. Where Force Awakens was the beginning and then Last Jedi took a bold swing that created a divide in the fandom, I think Frozen Empire is the opposite of that. It plays it really, really safe and actually copies a lot of beats off of Ghostbusters 2, which a lot of people see is inferior to Ghostbusters 1, and in my opinion, this one is inferior to Afterlife. The major issue, the biggest issue that I have with this film, instead of showing us these new characters that we've gotten in the last one while also bringing the Ghostbusters from the original film back and mixing together, they add a host of brand new characters now on this from this New York City setting, that the characters that we were growing to like in the first one are separated and interacting with all these brand new characters instead of together bonding, which would have showed growth from the first one and the dynamics that we like. This movie has 15 characters in this film with speaking roles, and about only 3 of the 15 characters have anything important to do, which causes a lot of scenes where characters are kind of just standing around making quips or starting something that seems like it's going to be a serious character arc but just cut off quick to move on to the next character, and it really hurts the focus in the film, especially when you're trying to pinpoint which character you're supposed to be invested in and take the story a little bit serious. What instead happens is that they focus so much on a lot of old events, referencing old events, introducing nostalgia things that Ghostbusters fans will go ooh ah and look at and be really happy to see, but not really focus on the current events and the current characters dynamics and the current threat that they are facing now. And with this, many scenes and many parts of the film feel half-baked. There's different storylines and so many different subplots that all these characters have, and they either start or not are finished fully or completely dropped, or half-baked and don't have a very satisfying ending, and that ties into this villain. So the villain, the lore is really interesting. I think the build up to the villain was really interesting, and the trinket that the villain was trapped in, which is in the trailers, was really cool and interesting, and everything they did with that. But when the actual villain is revealed, it's one of the most boring, generic, uninteresting villains that I've seen in a popcorn flick in a long time. Luckily, one of the saving graces of this film is that McKenna Grace and Paul Rudd are the standouts once again. McKenna Grace, Phoebe, is the main character. She was the main character in the first one. She's even more the main character in this one. This is about her trying to figure out her place in the Ghostbuster lineup and once again try to find friends. And a lot of the things that they did with her character was kind of interesting. Didn't really fulfill everything that they could. They kind of had like a Romeo Juliet situation here. I went to go sit with a friend. They made that reference because she kind of makes a friend here, and they kind of queer bait with her character a lot in this story with the friend that she makes. I don't want to spoil what kind of friend it was, but it just really was interesting to see where it was going. And then the final parts of that storyline fell really flat, but McKenna Grace was great throughout, just being very spunky, just really great with all the science gizmos and stuff like that. You really believe that she's a scientist and this badass, and I really love her as a leading lady. She does a great job carrying the film. And Paul Rudd on the other side of that is really interesting because while she's trying to find her place in this new setting in New York and trying to find her place in the Ghostbusters itself, he's trying to find his place amongst his new family. Because in the first one, he was just their substitute teacher. Now he's dating the mom. He's a Ghostbuster. He is trying to figure out how he's supposed to have this dynamic with the kids, and if he can say and do different things, and that is tied into McKenna Grace's character and everything like that, Phoebe. And it's really, really cool to see, while Paul Rudd is just being fun and funny and charming like he is in every single role. Finn Wolfhard, Celeste O'Connor, and Logan Kim are some of the characters that I really enjoyed from the first film. Obviously, Finn Wolfhard plays McKenna Grace's brother. Celeste O'Connor seemed like she was gonna be Finn Wolfhard's like love interest. That's what they were playing off in the first one. And Logan Kim was a standout in the first one as Podcast. Really, really enjoyed his character. But unfortunately, these characters feels like shelved. The characters that we saw before, they don't get to interact, and all the relationships that were built up in the first one are not really carried over in this one, and they don't have anything to do.
What?
These three characters have absolutely nothing interesting to do. They're there because they were in Afterlife, and they're like, well, we got to bring you guys back. But they didn't write anything for them to do throughout the film. Finn Wolfhard has a story there, and that actually goes nowhere. Celeste O'Connor is almost like a background character that sometimes gets to use the Ghostbuster gear. And Logan Kim's Podcast is like nowhere near as funny or as interesting as he was in Afterlife, unfortunately. The biggest waste is Bill Murray. He completely phones his performance in, unlike Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson, who did their best and try their best with everything that they're given in this film. But Bill Murray, who probably has 8 minutes of screen time at most, just completely just is walking through the scenes, just being Bill Murray. Which, you know, sometimes can be great, but the original Ghostbusters take up so much of the film that it takes away from this new Ghostbusters. And I feel like if they're gonna do a third film, which probably they're gonna do, I'm pretty sure this film is gonna do well, they really need to cut back on the old Ghostbusters. I know people love them, but they're just not having the same effect being older men and not being able to be up to speed. A lot of scenes are stalled because they're there because they can't do the action set pieces like the younger group can. So hopefully in the third film they focus more on the younger group and don't try to bring them in to be so incorporated. Maybe advisors, have them pop here and there to help with certain things, but really focus on the other one. But in this movie, Dan Aykroyd was fantastic. He was in a big chunk of it out of everybody. Ernie Hudson was really, really good as well. But Jesus Christ, Bill Murray, please just hang up the Ghostbuster boots. And also, luckily, the film is beautiful to look at. The VFX, the set pieces, the action set pieces, the CGI all look really, really great and looked great on the big screen. I really like the action that they do here. I love how the ghosts look and the VFX, the new machines that they use and all the different traps that we get here. The Ghostbusters are going to the next level here, and they've upgraded them to a point, and it's like a mixture of the old devices with the new devices, which I thought was really cool. And hopefully in the next one they even push it a little further. I really enjoyed all the action that we got in this film, and it was some points that was actually a little creepy. So I like that they did that, and to add a little horror aspects, and the things that they did with the ghosts are some of the most interesting parts of it. And the movie is funny throughout. There is some moments to laugh, nothing to laugh out loud. Some things that I thought was like, this is not really kid-friendly jokes. This is definitely for us adults.
I don't even know if that's PG.
But some stuff that really made me chuckle throughout and made me go, that's not bad.
Look at us. Hey, look at us. Look at us. Huh? Who would have thought? Not me.
Unfortunately, this story had so much potential. There was so many different pieces with each character that they could connect it to each other to bring a really great story together. At the end of the day, instead of having all these separate messy parts tied in with a bunch of nostalgia bait. But unfortunately, they focused on the nostalgia and focusing on the past instead of focusing on the things in the present that could have made a really great story while also still being a fun Ghostbusters film. And unless you are a huge Ghostbuster fan that just needs to see every single Ghostbuster film in theaters, I don't think this is something that you have to run out and go see in theaters. Unfortunately, I didn't have the best time with the story in the film. I did laugh. It had some fun. It is a fun film, but I don't think it's something that you have to run and go see in the theaters because there's so many plot points that are lackluster and so many different things that just don't hit. So with that said, I'm gonna give Ghostbusters Frozen Empire a D. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What would you rate Ghostbusters Frozen Empire? Is it your favorite one? Where would you rank it in those rankings of all the Ghostbusters films? And who was your favorite character? Drop all those comments down below and let me know. If you liked my review, hit that like button. If you want to join the Zack Attack Nation, attack that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you notify my reviews, reactions, live discussions, and much, much more. You can watch more of my content